So imagine if you worked for a boss who criticized you all the time, doubted your ability, set you ridiculously high standards, never tolerated even the smallest failure or mistake, compared you to your colleagues, only really ever noticed the negatives, and never gave you any acknowledgement or praise. So yesterday I ran a free Grow Your Professional Confidence masterclass, and we got into a conversation about the kind of boss that you need, the kind of manager that you need in order to feel confident, in order to be supported, to do your best, and to show up the way you want at work. And the answers were quite unsurprising. For most people, they said stuff like supportive, respectful, realistic, helpful, reasonable. And you're probably the same. In order to feel confident at work, it helps if you've got a supportive boss, a supportive manager, somebody who is going to believe in you, trust in you, back you up, be realistic, be fair, be reasonable, have your back and support you. And then when I asked whether they had a manager, a boss inside their head that was the same as that manager that they described, wah. They didn't. Surprise, surprise. They said no. So that's what we're going to talk about in today's episode. And if you've been with us on the podcast before, you may have heard me talk about this, but stay with me and think about this again, because it may be the biggest thing that you can do for your own confidence. So here's the idea. You spend, I don't know, maybe 8 hours a day, maybe 10 hours a day. I don't know how long you work being managed by your employer. But you're managed by yourself pretty much 24 hours a day. And it doesn't matter how many promotions you get, what job you go to, whether you completely change industry, that manager, that boss, that voice that lives in your head is coming with you to every single bit of it. And now imagine that boss, that voice that lives inside your head is one that never really gives you any praise, expects like ridiculous perfectionist standards that nobody would ever expect reasonably from anyone else, spends its time pointing out all the things you did wrong, compares you to everybody else, never lets you forget a mistake that you've made, berates you endlessly, tells you it's never quite good enough, even though you don't really know what would be. And I asked the participants in this masterclass, I asked them to picture it. What would it be like working for that kind of manager who expects perfection, who points out everything you do wrong, who compares you to other people, who never lets you forget a mistake, who keeps moving the goalposts, who demands perfection and never gives you any praise? What would it be like working for that manager? Their responses were actually pretty blunt. If they worked for that kind of manager, the participants said, I would quit. I would not stay. It would wear you down. Horrific. Constant pressure, never meeting the brief. Zero confidence. Another participant actually said, I've actually been in that environment and it led to panic attacks. One participant, my heart goes out to, said, you are literally describing my job. Often, and this is unwittingly, right? I'm not saying anybody does this on purpose. I didn't do it on purpose. I've never seen any of my clients do it on purpose. It's what happens. It's what can happen. But we become the kind of manager that we would never in a million years want to work for. And for a lot of us, would not even tolerate working for. And not because we are unreasonable people, but that probably somewhere along the line, we associated being really hard on ourselves with success or improvement or safety. And it sounds logical, right? If we push ourselves to do well, if we're hard on ourselves, if we don't give ourselves a break, we will do well. We won't slack off. We won't be lazy. We'll, do our best work. But the reality is that I think it actually creates the opposite, the exact opposite. And especially when it comes to confidence. If you're a bad manager to yourself, it actually creates hesitation, overthinking, overworking, overchecking, perfectionism, complete fear of getting it wrong, rumination, waking up at 3 a.m, problems with your sleep, checking an email 10 times before you send it, total fear to speak up in various settings, fear of public speaking, fear of being exposed, worrying about people asking you a question that you might not know the answer to, all of the imposter stuff that you could think of. doubting your ability, doubting your expertise, doubting whether you should be in the role. This stuff always comes along with an internal manager who's just really harsh, really critical, really doubting, really unfair. And once people in the masterclass recognized it, they could really recognize it. And we got into a discussion about what would happen if you manage someone on your team, or you manage your team in the way you manage yourself. Would they be able to feel confident, or would something else happen? People were really clear. They were like, no, they would not be confident working for me if I treated them like that. Zero confidence, horrific, worn down. And I asked them that because I really wanted them to be able to link the cost of having an internal manager like that on confidence, on effectiveness at work. And I want you to be able to do that too. So when they reflected on what it like to live with that kind of internal management, internal pressure, they said it's draining. It's holding me back. I overthink everything. I miss opportunities. I don't put myself forward. And it slowly shrinks what I believe is possible for me. Maybe not all at once. Maybe quietly. Maybe gradually. But it's what happens. But here comes the probably slightly more hopeful part. When I teach these masterclasses and I'm really getting people to think about what are the things that they're in control of, that if they can get a hold of them, will really pay dividends when it comes to their confidence. So I've got to drag them through the muck. I've got to show them all the areas where they might be inadvertently tanking their confidence. And it is not pretty. But there is hope, because when I also got them to think about and look at the kind of manager that they wanted, and they said helpful, supportive, fair, reasonable, encouraging. And then I asked them to think about, well, if you had that kind of internal manager, right? If that was the manager that lived inside you, what would it be like? And they said, I wouldn't doubt myself as much. I would accept that I'm actually good at what I do. I'd back myself more. I'd see myself how others see me. From all of the work that I've done, all of the people that I've sat with, and all of the experience that I've had, I know that confidence, real internal confidence, doesn't come from being tougher on yourself. It comes from being a better manager to yourself. And you're probably just like these participants, right? Where if you really thought about it and you could install a better internal manager inside you, I bet you wouldn't doubt yourself as much. Maybe you'd accept that you're actually good at what you do. You'd probably back yourself more. And maybe you would start to see yourself how others see you. So if this is you, you could become the manager that you would actually want to work for. And I want to leave you with where we started, which was right now, the internal manager who lives inside you. Would you want to work for you? So if you're new around here, or if you haven't taken it yet, go to the link in the show notes and take the confidence assessment. It's going to allow you to find out whether you're in a low confidence cycle, and it's going to help you to identify those habits and those patterns of your internal manager, the thing that we've been talking about today. It'll take you a couple of minutes and you'll get some resources and some tools in your inbox that are going to help you to train that internal manager so you can actually work for somebody that you want to work for. And if you want to come and work with me, if you would like to grow your professional confidence and you would like my support to do that, go to the link in the show notes, book a call to talk to me about private coaching or joining the Confident at Work program. And I will see you in next week's episode. Bye.
Confidence, confidence, confident. I can be confident. Confidence, confidence, confident. I can be confident at work.